Carla and Amanda, where we talk about books and the literary world.
Then we'll visit the past with things from our childhood. There may be a rant or two, but we promise you laughs and a good time.
Hi, this is Amanda.
And this is Carla.
Welcome back to our second episode of the podcast.
Episode 2.
Episode 2 of Out of the Stacks. I was telling a friend about how we're doing podcasts, and she's like, what is it called? And she kept saying, from the stacks, or like, between the stacks. And I was like, no, out of the stacks.
And then
like
stacks.
10 minutes later, she goes, I'm going to look at your podcast. What's its name? Between the Stacks? I'm like, out of the stacks.
There's Forever Young Adult, great website. They do sometimes a blog post called Between Two Lockers, where they'll interview an author. It's like they're in high school or something. I don't know. So that's what that reminds me of.
It's out.
Out of the stacks. We've come out of the stacks.
Yes,
stacks
to talk.
Stacks of books.
Give our opinions about things.
Yes.
I was also talking to a friend about, she is interested in doing podcasts, and she goes, well, what could I do as a podcast? And I said, well, podcasts are just really, unwanted opinions, that people are, yes.
Literally anything.
Yeah, pretty much. Anything. Just give your opinion on it, and somebody might listen to it.
They might. Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to my best friend, Katie. Thank you for listening to our first episode.
Yeah, thank you, Katie.
She might have been the only one. I don't know.
No, I saw that we had maybe a dozen downloads.
Oh,
so
cool.
I know a couple people. My mom tried to listen to it, but it kept stopping. And then she kept forgetting, she kept forgetting to go back to it. And I was like,
I think my mom did the same thing. So thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Moms.
Okay.
Anyway, this is the podcast Out of the Stacks, and we're talking literary things and such.
We have a theme for this episode.
Yes, we do have a theme. I'm so excited about this theme.
Don't get too excited, though, because this might be the only episode where we have, like, a cohesive theme.
Yes, so you're listening to history?
Yeah, which is great because we're talking about historical fiction.
Ba-dum-bum.
Whoa.
I didn't do that on purpose, but that was a good segue. But, yeah, we're talking about historical fiction. I love historical fiction. I can't get enough of it. I would just forever read historical fiction. If I had to choose one subject.
Well, yes, but I make myself jump around and read different genres. Like,
yeah,
I don't like reading two historical fictions back to back, especially if it's about like the same time period. Yeah, because then I get the story confused. So I've been reading a lot of World War II historical fiction.
There's so many,
and it's World so good.
War II historical fiction.
But then I also am always technically reading 2 books at a time because I'm listening to an audiobook and reading a physical book.
Yes.
And then sometimes I make the mistake of choosing 2 books that are kind of similar. Yeah, and that's not good.
So we're going to talk about historical fiction books, books in general.
I pulled a bunch off of my shelves.
And I have some notes, but like I said, I just love historical fiction. I can never get enough of it.
I feel like there is kind of a resurgence of it right now, especially there are a lot of World War II female spy books.
Yeah, a lot of...
The first one maybe I read... It was by Kate Quinn, and I don't remember when I read it. I can tell you shortly. It's called the Alice Network.
Yes, I've read that.
Read that?
I was obsessed with it. I mean, I was so constantly thinking about it when I was done reading it, and I was like, I want to read more. It was so good. I would recommend that too.
So I read this like a year ago. I think I actually listened to it.
Yeah.
And it's about spies, female spies who like live in France, and they create these new lives for themselves and embed themselves, and it was actually a few different women, as I remember.
I think there was a main 3, and then they had their female contact that was over...
Like the person in charge.
Yeah, in charge, there you go.
And then she, like their leader had been a spy maybe in World War I.
Yeah.
So it's both wars, really. I think it focuses more on World War II, as I recall.
But I think one of the characters, you flash back with her into World War I and what she did and why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she wasn't wanting to talk about it, so whatever. But it was really good.
It's so fascinating, and like, because these women existed. Like, there really were women who were recruited by the French and the British to live in occupied territories because no one expects the women to be a threat. Yeah, well, showed them.
Still today, people don't think women are threats.
Yeah.
But we are. But, the Alice Nuckworth.
Have you read her second one?
No.
I just finished it. It's called The Huntress.
Okay.
And so this one, it takes, so modern day is 1950.
Okay.
And it flashes back, and one of the main characters was a pilot, a woman who flew bombers for the Soviet. She was Russian, and the Soviets let women be pilots and let them fly fighter planes and bombers.
Well, the Russians also had like in World War II, sharpshooters and women in their army, and so I'm not surprised that they allowed a pilot bomber.
Yeah. And the women, because, so much pressure's on them because they're women, again, they flew more missions than any man ever would. Mm-hmm. Like, they would go out and they would bomb, and then they would come back and land, and while the crews were reloading their plane, they would go and, like, get some tea, and the pilot wouldn't leave the plane. The navigator would go get tea for the pilot. Yeah. And then they would take off and they would go again. And they could do as many as, like, a dozen, or I think at their best, they got up to like 16 bombing runs in a night.
That's because women are strong.
Yes. And they did it at night. Like, they didn't go during the day. They did it at night.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah. Oh, it's really good.
Well, you talk about women pilots. That reminds me of the trilogy you and I both read, the Michael Grant Frontlines.
Oh, yeah.
That is amazing. I mean, it's not a woman pilot, but the story takes place in World War II, but it's slightly altered universe. Yeah. Because women are in the army, they've been drafted, they have the same responsibilities, and
they're given equal treatment
as men. And so it's really fascinating because it follows maybe 4 girls,
I think so,
at least 3 main girls, and there's a woman who's in the army, there's a spy, and then there's an African American nurse, and so it just goes through World War II. It's a trilogy, and I mean, it was amazing. I would always think about that, and I'm like, just the idea of women that far back, fighting on the front lines. That's why
the first
series
book is called
that. And I know women nowadays are, in the army and whatever, but they're not actively combat like these women in these stories. And it's just fascinating how the women deal with these tragedies, these, big events in World War II. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed that. But by Michael Grant, Frontlines.
There are 3 books.
And there's 3 books. There's Bronze Star. Is the second or third one?
Or is it Silver Star? Frontlines, Silver Stars, and Purple Hearts.
There you go. So I guess we would both recommend it, but that was just such a neat story idea to me, to involve women as active, military. And
and the book, I mean, it's not the only altered part of history is that women were there. The rest of it is true to World War II, true to the history of World War II.
Yeah. And that's what made it so fascinating to me, because, there's a lot of good World War II fiction out there, and I've read a lot of good World War II fiction, but it is just men. And rightly so, because men were the big part of it. But this story with these 3 women taking the lead, it was really amazing to read.
Yeah, it is good. I'd forgotten about that series.
Yes.
Yeah, really good.
Well, like you said, there's a lot of World War II historical fiction coming out, and old. But I dug in my mind. That's not right.
You searched your mind?
Yeah, I searched my mind.
Searched your your brain files?
There you go. My brain files are all messed up. I looked for historical fiction, books that are not World War II, because there's a ton of out there. So I was looking for things that might not catch your eye because it's not World War II history. But the first one I want to talk about is the one we read this month for our YA book club, called Lovely War by Julie Berry.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. I didn't think I'd like it. Yeah. It takes place in World War I. And they say, this is a quote, I don't know who it's from, but it's a sweeping, multi-layered romance with a divine twist by the Prince Honor Award-winning author The Passion of Dolissa, set in the perilous days of World War I and World War II. I wouldn't say really set in World War II. That was slightly misleading, but the story is two women in World War I, and the love stories that and the stories are told by Olympic gods, mainly Aphrodites, but there's also Hades and
Hephaestus. Well, Hephaestus doesn't tell the story.
But he's listening.
Hades, Apollo, and Ares.
Ares, there we go. And so the one story is of Hazel and James, who meet at a dance before James ships out. Their love is one of achingly tender moments during the terrible backdrop of war. So James is a soldier. She was just kind of playing the piano at this dance. And so they have this instant connection, and then they try to get through the war and keep having this love connection.
And as we know, World War I was awful. Like, trench warfare is terrible.
And so you really feel for James, because it describes a lot of what James goes through without giving him any spoilers, but
trench warfare was awful.
So the other love story is of Colette, who's a Belgian girl whose family was all killed. Her love of her life was killed, and so she's alone. And then this other guy, he calls himself Emperor of Jazz, and he's an African-American piano player named Aubrey. And so they kind of fall in love, and they have this also instant connection, and then they have to fight against prejudice, because that's World War I. They don't like African-Americans, and this white Belgian girl, and this black man are falling in love and want to stay together. The reviews on Goodreads are all very positive. One said they cried 7 times during the book, and if I wasn't a sociopath, I would have cried at those 7 times.
I'm also a sociopath. I don't cry.
Well, I mean, I could see why there are these moments that you would want to cry, and it's heartbreaking, but I'm just like, oh, that's really sad.
And that's sad,
fiction,
but it's a book.
So the story just shows that through war and destruction and prejudice, like I said, war and injury, these people fight to keep their love strong and together, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, and it's, I think I was hesitant too and thought I wouldn't like it because of
the Olympic gods.
Yes, because you read this description, it's like, okay, these Olympic gods are telling this story of these people, and like, okay, why? Like, what is happening here? But it's really, and it makes sense. So you have Aphrodite, goddess of love, Ares, god of war, Hades, god of death, and then Apollo, who is, I would always music and culture and arts.
Yeah, that's why
I had always thought of Apollo as just the sun.
Yeah,
but apparently the arts, because music plays a big role in this as well. So yeah, really good. It should be a good conversation in our book club.
Yes, and I would severely recommend it. Like I said, it's a love story, but it's not one of those gushy, romance novels. It's very pure and strong and innocent
and it's real.
Yes, and you can see why these two couples found love, and were attracted to each other. And it's just the endings. I mean, it's a good ending. I will say it's not a sad ending.
No, but without spoiling anything, there was one part near the end where I was like, what?
Yes, pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like one of the characters said, no, you can't be doing this. Why are you doing this?
This cannot be happening.
Well, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too.
And it looks like a big book, and so you think it's going to be like, I'm going to slog through this. But chapters are really short, and there's a lot of dialogue, and so it went really fast.
It did, yeah.
That was Lovely War by Julie Berry.
Good book.
I would recommend that.
Good book.
Yeah. One of the other ones, this is not even a World War I, World War II, but it happened during the Chinese Rebellion, I guess, in 1989, Tiananmen Square. It's called Forbidden City by William Bell. 17-year-old Alex Jackson comes home from school to find that his father, a news cameraman, wants to take him to China's capital, Beijing. Once there, Alex finds himself on his own in Tiananmen Square as desperate students fight the Chinese armies for their freedom. Separated from his father and carrying illegal videotapes, Alex must trust the students to help him escape. Ooh. And so it's like set in just like a week's time, and Alex is at Tiananmen Square, and he gets separated his father, and he gets injured, and so he has to trust these Chinese people, these strangers who might turn him in or might help him, and he has to, you know, escape the army, hide, eventually get better, and he gets back with his father. But I read this when I was in my mid-teens, and I even remember like going up to the main library, where I worked, you know, both as a teen page, and when I was at my career. And so I went up to their a shelf and a half YA section. And for some reason I just pulled this book out, and it's really thin paperback, but it has stuck with me 20 years. And this story of Alex and Tiananmen Square, because it was nothing like I had ever read, you know. Like I said, we have World War II, World War I, you know, you have the Westerns and Civil War history, but the history of Tiananmen Square and the Chinese army and the Chinese people rebelling for their freedoms is one, like I said, has really stuck with me. So that one was top on my list of I wanted to talk about.
I've never read that one.
Yeah, it's a really good one. Like, it's a real quick read. I mean, maybe 150 pages, real tiny.
Okay.
And so I recommend Forbidden City by William Bell.
I'm gonna add it to my Goodreads.
Yep, do it.
Done.
Okay. What's another book you got?
So I just pulled some stuff off my shelf, a sampling of various things. So, and this is kind of like a trip through my history of reading historical fiction.
Yes. Oh.
So one thing I pulled out.
I love those books.
So this is a Royal Diary.
Yes, I read those. You know, that series.
It was an offshoot of Dear America.
And I read the Dear Americas too.
Yeah, so this Royal Diary is Anastasia, who I was like fascinated with her.
Yes. I'm fascinated with the Romanovs, and especially Anastasia.
Yeah, and like I think it's the
and the
whole
movie Anastasia,
the
Disney Anastasia is a.
We sang that song Once Upon a December in like junior high chorus.
Yeah,
so good.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's one of the ones that aren't.
And this book
beloved.
is so pretty. It's a hardcover. I probably got it at a book fair. Yep, it says Scholastic on the back. You know, gold pages. It also, this is how old it is. I had to clean. There was like a spider nest or something on it.
Yeah.
These thick cobwebby things that didn't ever fully come off. So that's how long it's been around. As another example, I don't know if this is technically historical fiction, but it's Gail Carson Levine, The Two Princesses of Bamar, or Bamare, I don't know. But this was just the kind of thing that I loved reading in like junior high. Princesses.
Medieval.
Medieval. Loved it. Both of these books have been around a long time.
You know, like junior historical fiction in my life.
Yeah.
I read a lot of World War II, the Jewish plight, the Holocaust, and like Numbered the Stars, Anne Frank, all that kind of, I don't know, I was obsessed with that for a while, which is strange.
Yeah, it's okay.
But,
there's a reason they wrote books.
Yes.
So another one I have, and this is, I don't know, maybe the best historical fiction is written about wartime. This is Laurie Haltz Anderson, Ashes. It's the Seeds of America trilogy. So there's Ashes, Forge, and I can't remember the title of the third one. But Ashes is written from the perspective of a young African-American boy. And there's also a girl, an African-American girl. And it's so good. It's the Revolutionary War. And it's like this boy, Curzon, Curzon. I believe he gets like attached to Washington's army somehow. Okay. And so it's the story of the Revolutionary War, but from the perspective of this, I don't know, he's like 12 or something. He's young in the first one, and he gets older as the series goes on. But this just totally different perspective on the Revolutionary War, and just the book itself is so nice. Like, it has those unfinished pages where all the pages are different length. The font looks older, like old-fashioned, like everything about the feel of the book is just so good. And she really did her research. She took a long time to write these books. This one I have signed. She was at the American Library Association conference several years ago, and I met her there, and that was when she had 2 books written, maybe just one. And I told her how much I was enjoying them and that I couldn't wait. Oh, Chains is the first one. Chains, Forge, and Ashes. So where did I get I don't know. Anyway. And she said, yeah, it had taken her a long time to write them, and she had been sick. But she wanted to do them correctly. She wanted to do them right.
I really appreciate authors who do deep dive into the research, because I kind of read historical fiction to learn, and know about these periods. I don't want fake news as it goes, I know it's a fictional story, but I want all of the main historical facts to be factual. I don't want them making up a theory. So I really do appreciate, I hate it when authors take like a year or two, but if it's a historical author, I do really appreciate the deep research they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And she, documents her research, and I follow her on social media, and she'll, like, when she was researching for these, she would talk about the things that she had been doing, places that she went. And she lives in Pennsylvania, so she's close to those places. It wasn't far for her to go, but yeah, really good stuff. So Chains, Forge, and Ashes. Ashes is the last one.
And she wrote Fever 1793.
She did, yeah.
And that's a great one. Yeah. And that's sad too, but it's
I read
really
that. I don't know when. I read that a long time ago.
Long ago, before books were invented.
Yes.
For the printing press.
Books were new. Yeah. And of course she's written other great contemporary books. And, she's a good author to follow, and a good advocate for libraries and for books in general.
We love advocates for libraries and books.
We do.
That's our stock in trade, please.
I have one more quickly. Okay. Brooklyn by Colm Tobin. Tobin. I don't know how you say his last name. Tobin. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry to the Irish. So Brooklyn is about a girl from Ireland who gets, I think it's like her parish priest helps her get passage to Brooklyn, and helps her, like, sets her up with a priest in Brooklyn who finds her a job. And it's because there are no jobs in Ireland. And I can't remember exactly what year it is. It's like,
I think it's the 50s?
Yeah, I think so. Like the 50s. Mm-hmm.
Because it was made into a movie. Some of you might have seen it. Brooklyn with Saoirse Ronan.
And I read the book before the movie was even made, I think. And it's very interesting. It's about this girl all by herself who comes from Ireland and ends up in Brooklyn, bustling big city. She falls in love with an Italian boy. And then there are other circumstances that she has to go back to Ireland, and will she return to Brooklyn? And it's just one of those books that you read and you just feel good about it afterwards. Like, it just feels good.
It's a good story. Well, kind of in the realm, this is weird, we didn't play on this, but with her Irish one, I have another series. It's the Irish Century series by Morgan Llewellyn. The first one is 1916, but it is the book 1916 examines the Irish fight for freedom. It's inspired by poets and school teachers, fueled by desperate desire for independence, and played out in the historic streets of Dublin against the backdrops of World War I. It's a story of brave men and heroic women who, for a few unforgettable days, managed to hold out against the might of the British Empire to realize an impossible dream. So it's a 5-part series. It is 1916, 1943... maybe 1946, 47, 21, 49, 72, and 1999. So 1916, 1921, 1949, and 1972 and 1999. It's by Morgan Llewellyn, and it's the story of 3 generations: a father, his daughter, and his daughter's son. And it's their fight and their passionate, responses to the British government, the Irish government, and the, trying to get the freedom of their own. So the various years, 1916 is the Irish Revolution, Easter Sunday, if you might have heard of that. 1921 is the year after the Irish get like an autonomy. The British are ruling, but the Irish kind of have this fake Congress, ruling party. It's the story of 3 generations of Hallorans, Ned, Ursula, and Barry, and like I said, their passion for the Irish cause of freedom. She talks about authors and the historical characters of all these years and how they influenced the books. And I have Irish heritage, so I read these and it touched my soul with these Irish freedom, and these 100 years later, what the generations have to go through, these 80 years. They have to fight for freedoms. It's the Northern Irish and, IRA, all those is involved, with the books. And so you fight, and in 1989, Ireland finally gets its freedom. Wow. I mean, yes, the country is split into Northern Ireland and Ireland, but they finally get the freedom that they are wanting. And like I said, it's touched my Irish soul. And I'm like, I want to fight for my Irish freedom, and damn those British. And, it was very uplifting, and it really was getting me going. So,
have you ever watched this miniseries?
Yes, called Rebellion, and there's a second Resistance. Yeah, it's the same.
They're called something else when you stream them here.
Yes,
but it's so good.
Yes, and it's very much like the Irish Sentry series, and the fight for Irish freedom, and then the new founding of the government, and what is it going to look like? Yeah, and I mean, it was 80 years worth of rebellion to get where they needed to be today. And so, I think they're on Netflix. There's two of them. I think so, yeah. Rebellion and Resistance.
I think.
Yes.
That's what they're called.
and that also got my Irish blood stirring, in the same way that the books did. Like I said, this is also one that, like The Forbidden City, that I read years and years ago, but I still think about it. I've reread it several times, and I'm not a person to reread book. Once I've read it, I kind of know the story, and I want to always have that surprise of a book, and so I don't really reread books, but this series, I've reread it several times, and it's still so good, and I just love it. So that's 1916 by Morgan Llewellyn. That's my...
Okay. Should we talk about our favorite toys?
Yeah.
So, in our first episode...
remember, we said this has a theme, so...
Yeah.
If you can guess, maybe you might guess
your favorite historical fiction toys of the 90s.
Yes.
So... We're talking about American Girls.
Yes.
I don't know about your family. In my family,
oh yeah,
we had to be 8 years old to get our American Girl.
Well, it was created in 1986. So, I mean, when it was popular in the early 90s, that would be, when I was, 8 or so. So
yeah. My oldest sister got Samantha because at first there were only five. There were 5.
The originals were Kirsten, Felicity, Addie, Samantha, and Molly.
Okay.
I started with the Molly series. That's the one I started with.
I think originally, was Felicity added? I feel like it was, or Molly was added. Kirsten, Samantha, and one other. I think there were just 3 because Addie was
Felicity. Because Addie was
brand new when I got her.
Yeah, that was probably the 5th of the original 5. Yeah. So probably Kirsten, Felicity, and Samantha. I think maybe Samantha was first.
Yeah, she was first. Yeah, because they've retired her now, and they've retired Kirsten.
Really?
Yeah, they don't make them anymore.
I didn't know that.
I know.
Oh, yeah, that's disappointing.
Well, yes. It's very disappointing. Yeah. So, my oldest sister got Samantha. My middle sister got Kirsten. And then I got Addie because Addie was brand new.
Yeah. I had Felicity and my sister had Addie. And we only had the outfits that came with them. Our dog ate one of Addie's shoes.
Oh, no!
Like the toe of it. So we had to swap who got the half-eaten shoe pair. And
only one dog got to wear shoes.
Yeah, pretty much. So
we were spoiled. I think our grandparents bought the majority of our stuff because it was expensive.
I loved looking through the catalog with it. Yeah. And they had so much for every girl. They had every story and any accessory that you may need from that story. And I just wanted everything. It doesn't matter the girl. I just wanted everything in the catalog.
Oh,
and we didn't get anything.
The tiny stuff, the little food and the little...
I wanted, the dresses and, the beds.
Yes.
The bedroom sets. That's what I was wanting.
We got the beds, but we never got, the full bedroom set. And, everyone had a table and chairs. And, we didn't get those. Yeah. We didn't get, the big furniture. But we got a lot of the dresses. And then when they announced that Kirsten was being retired, my sister, who has hers, went on eBay and tried to buy all the things she didn't have yet.
I don't blame her, because I would do the same. My sister and I, we retired. We passed on our dolls to my 2 eldest nieces. That's nice. So we don't don't have them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my nieces have them, so.
We have ours. They live at our parents' house, and when we go home, we'll change their outfits according to the season.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's good to change their outfits.
Yeah.
They are currently in their Christmas outfits because we didn't change them.
Well,
so,
it's still...
Yeah, I
It's
mean...
not like it's July and they're in Christmas.
Well, my only objection is that Addie's Christmas dress has short sleeves, which I never understood. And so...
Well, Addie takes place in the South, doesn't she?
No, she's in Philadelphia.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm just concerned that she's cold.
Yeah.
Is my only issue.
Poor Addie.
Yeah. Also, Samantha and Kirsten, like, Samantha's hair is really brittle, and Kirsten's too. Just because they're so old, so you really can't touch their hair much. Cause
Can you,
just
condition them?
I don't know.
Somehow?
I don't know. We probably
Coconut
need to
oil?
take them to the doll salon.
Doll salon? Where's the doll salon?
Oh, at the American Girl Place in Chicago.
Oh, I thought you was one around
here.
here.
Oh my gosh, did you ever have to send yours in to the hospital?
No.
I did.
We just let my dog eat the shoe. I mean, no, we didn't send it to the hospital.
Like 10 years ago, I had to send Addie to the doll hospital because I had noticed that her eyes were silver.
Oh.
Okay?
That's weird.
Addie, for those of you who are not familiar, which I don't know why are you listening to this if you don't know who the American Girls are. Addie is an escaped slave girl, so she is African American, so her eyes are brown. My Addie's eyes turned silver.
Wow.
And so, like,
I got
on the phone and I called American Girl and I was like, why is this happening? What is going on? And they were like, well, we have heard that can happen occasionally, and so if you just send her in, we'll fix that for free.
Do they repaint her eyes?
I don't know what I don't know, they might have just replaced them. But I had to strip her naked and put her in a box.
No!
And put her in the mail.
Oh, that would terrify me. I would just...
It was awful.
I would just Sharpie marker her eyes.
Then she came back, and her hair was, like, perfect.
Yeah.
And she was wearing her little hospital gown and her hospital bracelet.
That's cute.
I have pictures. I'll show you. And she had a balloon and a certificate of good health, and her eyes are fine now.
That's sweet.
The glaucoma is gone. Maybe they did LASIK. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, great. I can't give the doll hospital enough praise for the care that they gave her.
No, I didn't even know there was a doll hospital.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it
We're
was
not
like
as obsessed, I guess, as you guys
are.
It
was like secretly my dream as a child to have to send my doll to the hospital, but I would never have done anything purposely, like rip her arm off or something. Yeah. And like we looked into Samantha and Kirsten's hair because, bad. Mm-hmm. But you have to pay for that. Like they won't. Oh. That's not covered under warranty. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. It makes me kind of sad.
Yeah. So here we have some books here. We have Meet Samantha, Kirsten, Josefina, and Felicity. Josefina, she was, added on later, but we accepted her. Here's the thing. I don't accept all the new ones. Do you?
No, I don't. There's 15 main new girls. 15? And that's just the main girls. There are, like, a lot of offshoots that are just 2 stories. And that's... they have mysteries. Yeah. With these girls. Much. And no, I just want the regular 5 or even maybe 10. But it's too much.
Well, and what they started doing, which I don't have a huge problem with, but like Samantha's best friend was Nellie. So now you can buy a Nellie doll. Like, that's okay. Yeah. But then like they made all these new girls just recently. Yeah. And then you can buy their best friend too.
Yeah, there's a series, the American Girl, that is Cecilia and I don't know, she's got a hyphenated name, but they're from New Orleans. Yeah. And so the books alternate. There's 6 books in a series. So one book's so it's like the best friends. Oh. And so I didn't read them, but they're in tandem. Like,
so it's not like the whole series about one girl and then they did the best friend later?
Yes. It's these 2 girls. It's
both of them at the same time?
Yes.
Oh. That would be,
I didn't read them.
You know what they're trying to do is they're trying to sell more dolls. Yep. That's what they're trying to do.
Yep. And so...
Also, Pleasant Company is owned by Mattel now, I think. It's not... I don't know. These are not old enough to be... or not new enough. Yeah. But this is... So here's what my sister has also. she has these mini dolls, which are still in the boxes, but they're not attached. She said we could take them out.
Okay.
So this is Kirsten's surprise, but it's not her St. Lucia outfit. It's like her alternate winter outfit. But she does have her red boots.
I like the red
and
boots.
her striped socks.
Oh,
yeah,
I sure do.
And her beautiful ribbon, and her hair looks good. I think she got
really
some highlights.
Does. Yeah.
And it comes with a teeny tiny book. Also, it's a hardcover. Has a book jacket. I don't know. Holy cow, it might be the whole story.
Yeah, it is.
Looks like my gosh. These are so cute. And there's a little sticker. I don't know what that's for.
I have never seen these dolls, so I'm fascinated.
I know. It's like, it's crazy. Here, this is Meet. This is Meet Kirsten. Oh.
Her dress.
Look at that. This one has the blue calico. Is it calico dress?
And the bloomers and the apron.
Her apron. She does not have her spoon in her pocket.
But she has a pocket.
Yeah, she has a pocket.
That's impressive.
She has the blue ribbons in her braids, and these are the braids that are like pulled up into bun things. Yeah. I don't know what you call those. She has her brown boots. She's adorable.
She is. I've never seen these. Yeah, she's got the miniature, she's got the tiny book as well. Yeah.
And then we have Felicity.
My girl.
This looks like an alternate. This is Meet Felicity, but is this the right dress? Wasn't she in a different dress?
No, she was in like a calico gingham kind of.
So this is like a light sleeved purple flowery striped dress. Yeah. Which apparently is now her Meet outfit.
I like it. It's not the OG Addie. Felicity.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about this, but
this is like the new.
But her hair is on point. Look at that.
I loved her red. That's why I got her, because I love red hair, and I loved her.
And although it's not her curls,
this is more like a dark red,
auburny. Yeah,
Felicity's had like carrot orange hair. Yeah, in the books. So.
I do like her shoes have buckles. She's got stockings and bloomers. You always gotta check the underwear. Actually, these are not bloomers. This is a little skirt.
Slip with a little petticoat.
She is going commando.
Well, do they have underwear then? No.
I don't know. Then I have... So these are all in the boxes. Yeah. But I have... Fascinating. Here's the lid for that one. I have this... I found a Molly, one of the miniature Mollies at, Goodwill.
Molly has glasses.
Yeah,
Does she come with glasses?
I don't know. This one doesn't have glasses. Okay. And her hair is super weird. I noticed this because I had to wash her because she was kind of gross. So she has her braided pigtails, but they're above her ears, on the side of her head. And then the hair in the back, it's
like it was cut.
It's like a bowl cut with these braids coming down.
That's weird.
I don't know what's going on. But she's got her little wool sweater and her Argyle skirt. Yeah, pretty pattern. There's a little button that probably came from American Girl magazine.
I don't think she had a button in her.
No, and she does have underwear. Good. And she's got these little patent
Mary Jane's
shoes, and little socks, and she's pretty cute. Yeah, she, World War II, she had to.
I think maybe that's where my World War II fascination came in with Molly.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, Molly was the one that I started with, so maybe. What I loved about the books was every girl had the exact same story. You know, you're meeting them, they're going to school, they have a birthday, and so you kind of knew the formula, but it was a different girl on a different time.
And we were learning things about history and culture without, knowing that we were learning, because, birthdays. Okay, everybody celebrates a birthday differently. Yeah. And so,
depending on their culture.
Yeah, we're learning about how their birthdays are celebrated.
And I always loved in the back of every American Girl, there was, let's see if I can.
A peek into the past.
Yeah, and it would tell you about the events going on and the different styles and things that were talked about in the books. So and that was my favorite art, because I'm all ooh, what is it? Yeah. And so that might have.
And then a card that you could whip out in the back to get a catalog. I wonder if I set this in, what would happen.
Original.
Oh yeah, that is not what she's wearing in this version.
Small one. Yeah.
She had the little bonnet thing.
Yep. That was what it came in.
Yeah, this is not right.
Nope. Call foul.
Times have changed. Also, I'm missing one of my Addie books. I'm missing number 5, which was Saves the Day.
Yes, I liked the Saves the Day.
Yeah, I don't...
Because it was, these girls that were saving the day of, solving these problems. It was just really American Girls.
Yeah, American Girls.
So I've not read any past Addie, because A, I was too old, and B, I don't really dig these.
I did read Josefina.
Yeah, I'm okay with Josefina.
Yeah,
but
I liked her. She was all right.
There was Julie, and there's like
Kit.
And
then
I think Kit was like Depression era.
Yeah, like
there was
30s.
Julie was in the 60s.
Yeah, she was a little too modern, I thought.
Yeah, and there's like an Asian American one.
Oh.
I don't know, but there's 15 girls.
That's just too much.
And that is way too much. I just want these 5 or 6.
List of American... Here we go, found it. Oh, Kaya,
she was the Native American one. I'm okay with Kaya too. Because I think she came before or after.
Elizabeth? She was Felicity's friend. Caroline from 1812. Here's the thing about that. All of the originals were in a year that ended in 4.
Oh, I've noticed that.
So Addie is 1864. Samantha is 1904. Kirsten is 1854. Josefina is 1824. And Felicity is 1774.
I never noticed that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So Kit was 1934.
Okay. Yeah. That's the Great Depression. I remember
Cecile.
That.
And Marie Grace.
Yes, that's the hyphenated one.
That's 1853.
That takes place in New Orleans.
Also, a lot of these were retired already.
Really?
Yeah, look at this. It says retired. Like Felicity, Kaya, Josefina, Samantha, it says active. She's...
Samantha.
They re-released her as a Be Forever. Probably with the different outfits.
Maybe.
Yeah. So her initial release was 1986 to 2009. And then in 2014, they brought her back, but with the new outfits.
Okay.
Addie came out in 93.
Yeah.
Felicity was 91. Kaya was 2002. Wow.
Yeah. I remember Kaya being...
Okay, Molly was 86. Molly is retired. Molly is no more. Gone.
Oh, no, Molly.
There's some girl named Ruthie. She must have been Kit's friend. Alice Nanea Mitchell, 1941. I don't know who that is. Emily is Molly's friend. Mary Ellen Larkin, 1954. I have never heard of her. I don't know who that is. Melody, 1964. I don't know who that is. Julie. Oh, Julie is 74.
74. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Then they have these contemporary characters and then all the girls of the year.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like the girl of the year and like these just 2 offshoots.
That's just ridiculous.
There's Hawaiian one, Kaylani or something like that. And
wow.
I don't accept it. I could go up to Kaya and I'm done.
Yeah. I feel
Josefina and Kaya are the only 2 ones that I will accept.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It's not hitting any important things.
You know what we didn't talk about?
What?
The OG historical fiction.
Yes.
Staring us right in the face. Little House on the Prairie.
Little House on the Prairie. That is Carla's thing. She loves Little House
I
on
love
the
it. I love it.
I liked when it was just maybe 2 years ago with the Laura Ingalls Wilder.
We did a birthday party for her. Because she would have been
150,
150, I think.
Yeah.
We did a birthday party.
That was fun.
It was. We made butter. we didn't know if it was going to work.
But it did.
Yeah, so we tried it in the staff room like a few days before. And all you do is you put cream
and a little bit of
salt in a container. We got plastic jars.
Yeah, mason jars or whatever.
You just shake it.
Oh, but you have to shake it forever.
You do. Yeah. And the kids got tired.
Yeah. I don't blame them. I got tired as an adult.
But it worked. And it
did.
It tasted like butter.
Yeah. I don't know why we were surprised. This craft has been around probably since...
I mean, that's how people made butter.
Yeah. And so I don't know why we were like, oh, wow, it works. Because, it works. But we were, like, stunned.
Somebody recently at work was like, yeah, wasn't that the day you two screamed in the staff room because you made butter?
Well, what can we say? It takes so little to make us happy.
Yeah. A lot of little girls came to that program. And I felt like that was very successful. But American Girl. Little House, big part of my life. I've been to 3 of the Little House sites. I've been to DeSmet, South Dakota.
Okay.
Which was so cool. That's Little Town on the Prairie. It's where the long winter was. They have the twin lakes that have a road in between them,
Okay.
where Almanzo would take Laura out for drives on Sundays.
Aww.
He would take her between the lakes, so we went to the lakes. And then we've been to her house in Mansfield, Missouri. We've been twice now. They have this huge museum that's just amazing. It has so much stuff in it, and it's just really nice. And
I would like to see that. It's in Missouri?
It's in Missouri. It's great.
That's not far from us.
It's not far, no. And the museum is fairly new.
I was always surprised with the stories that they start off, like, way out west, and then, like, Little House on the Prairie takes place, like, back east. And I'm like, I would think it'd be the other way around.
They moved around a lot.
Yeah.
Her father was, like, he couldn't settle down. He wanted to be moving all the time. He wanted to go where it was new. And so they were in Wisconsin. They went to Kansas. They had to go back to Wisconsin. They were in Iowa for a time, which she didn't write about in her books because that was, like, a really depressing part of their life.
Okay.
Because they were just on really hard times then. So we've been to Iowa. That's another place I've been. They, like, worked in a hotel, and I think that's when her mother gave birth to a baby boy who died.
Oh.
And, like, Mary got the fever and lost her eyesight. And, like, all this terrible stuff happened while they were in Iowa. So she didn't write about it.
Say no to Iowa.
And then eventually they ended up out in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Where her parents settled there, basically. And they're buried there. Like, once you go to the cemetery, because I've been to the cemetery in South Dakota, and then we went to the cemetery in Mansfield, Missouri, where Laura is buried. And once you go there, it's like, this really happened. Like, these people were real.
It's not just super fictional. That's
really
based on this woman's life.
Her grave is so, like, there are pencils and pennies on her gravestone because I can't remember. I think it's in Little House. She gets a Christmas present and she gets a whole penny for herself. And it's like imagine that, having a whole penny just for yourself. So people leave pennies.
That's sweet.
At her grave. Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh, that's sweet.
And pencils because of writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really neat. And it's this tiny little town that probably only exists because
of her.
Because she lived there. Because I don't know, it's kind of in the Ozarks, kind of on the edge of the Ozarks, and I don't know if they would survive without the tourism that comes from that. So yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, historical fiction.
So, historical fiction, that was our theme for today. Now we're going to go kind of into our ranting section where we just talk about what we
we could talk about historical fiction for a long time.
Yeah.
But
this might have to be a theme. Not like every time, but like maybe...
when we have a new crop of like favorites to talk about? Okay.
This might be a recurring theme.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yes. For all of our fans.
So if you like historical fiction, keep listening. Okay, so what's your rant?
Okay, so our inglorious leader.
FYI, we are left-wingers.
Yes.
So we're not going to hold back. Add us, fight us. We don't care.
Yeah. Tweet at us. We don't care.
Yeah. Please tweet at us. We'll talk to you. We promise.
So, our inglorious leader recently released his budget proposal for fiscal year 2021, which, if all goes well, he won't even be president. So I feel that it's unfair that he gets to determine this, but whatever. For the fourth straight year, this is coming from a Publishers Weekly article, his administration has once again proposed the permanent elimination of the Federal Institute of Museum and Library Services, and with it, virtually all federal funding for libraries.
I mean...
it's stupid.
It is so stupid. If you look at what people in society does, like the trend of society in hard times, they go to the library.
They do.
The library is not just books. Library is books, music, movies. There's computers.
Access to information.
Yes, you can apply to jobs. You got all these events to go to.
We'll help you get your resume ready.
Yes, free events. We'll help you with genealogy.
Yeah. It's all free, man.
And they're like cutting it. I mean, that's the dumbest thing ever.
It's so dumb. And it's because he wants to boost, like, defense, NASA, all of these things.
Well, we'll need libraries and books at Mars, and,
And remember what we talked about in our last episode was the Book Woman of Troublesome Creek.
Yes.
Which took place during Great Depression.
Yeah.
And that program was part of a program to give people jobs, but also to improve the morale and the education and the cultural experiences of people in less fortunate areas. It was to get information to people who didn't have access to it. And so 90 years ago, we thought there was value in this, but now we're like, museums, libraries,
And those who were naysayers against books and the ebooks, physical books are just as strong as ever. Ebooks are like 10-20% of libraries' collection. Or
I did, when you got here, I told you I bought an ebook today.
That's fine. I might buy ebooks too.
I was gonna read my next book, but it's like, I don't know, 4 inches thick.
Yeah.
It's not that big. It's pretty big.
I don't know.
I'm worried. Basically, I'm worried about like hitting myself in the face with it when I'm laying in bed reading. So I had to
breaking your nose.
But I bought the print version first. Print is not dead.
No, it
also has a really pretty.
Never will be dead. There's only a limited people of who can have a Kindle, who have Kindles, or iPad, or tablets that they can read these ebooks on. And yes, it's great, and I love ebooks. It reaches people who have, they don't want a physical book, but physical print, it's not proven that it's just dumb. I
is dumb.
Form words to say how dumb it is. I'm robbed of speech. I'm just...
Yeah. Now, the article does go on to say that the good news is, for the last 3 years, the library community has successfully counterfeited this proposal and actually seen increases in funding in the last 3 years. So,
good.
Yeah, I don't see it going anywhere, but I don't like that it's even a discussion at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really dumb. Also, whichever person is in the White House next, I'm pretty sure will be a reader. Obama was a reader.
Oh, yeah, he did. Every year he did his, Obama's...
his list of books that he...
And I think he's still done that, even continued now. And when it comes out, I always take a look at it, because it's really interesting to see the variety that he suggests. And
I'd like to think that he's actually reading those books.
I would guarantee you.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not when he was president.
No.
I don't think he had time.
Pretty sure he wasn't, laying back in bed reading his...
the man in the White House now, I don't think he reads anything other than Twitter, so...
I doubt he even reads Twitter.
No, he just tweets. He doesn't read it.
He reads his, his Big Mac box. Ugh,
okay, we could go on.
Anyway... We could rant for ages for that. My big rant right now, I don't have a literary kind of rant or books library.
That's okay.
But it's the Oscars so white and also Oscars so male. Old white men. And it just pisses me off. I mean, there were so many women who wrote, who directed, people of color that could have, I just don't get it. I used to enjoy the Oscars, but it just now, and with how liberal Hollywood is, it really surprises me that there's just all these white men, that get awards, and white women. No offense. I mean, women a little bit, but, and it just, I don't understand why we can't accept these people, women and people of color.
I love the new Little Women movie. I thought it was great.
That's what I've heard.
And you haven't seen it?
No.
It's so good. It's the timeline is different, so that
I heard there's a lot of flashbacks.
It goes back and forth. So it starts from the beginning, but it also starts from the middle. So you flash back and forth, and eventually you get to the same spot. Therefore, it's not all rosy, and then Beth dies, and we're depressed, and the movie is over.
That's what I heard.
You're happy at the end. There's hope at the end, instead of Beth died. Why are you all celebrating?
Yeah. I have...
spoiler alert, Beth dies. If you don't know that yet, why are you listening to this podcast? Sorry, Katie.
Sorry, Katie.
So, I thought it was great. I thought Greta Gerwig thought she should have definitely gotten nominated for directing. She did get nominated for adapted screenplay. Yes. And I think who won for that one?
I don't know who.
Was it Jojo Rabbit?
Yes.
Was that adapted? Taika Waititi.
I love him, though.
I do like him.
I'm okay with him winning, because he's, technically, he's, to me, a person of color.
Yes.
He's of, the New Zealand...
he's Maori.
Yeah, Maori. And so, and I think he's also Jewish. Don't quote that on me, but I was reading something that said, a Jewish Maori, and I was like... Oh, okay.
Look that up.
And I'm okay with Jojo Rabbit winning, but, the fact that Scorsese got nominated for his garbage, let me go close to the microphone, garbage movie, The Irishman.
I did not watch that.
Just don't. Because he just got it because it's... Is he Jewish?
He is Jewish.
Okay, Taika's Jewish.
Well, Jewish culturally, if not practicing. His mother is a quarter Ashkenazi Jewish. Okay. So, yeah, he has Jewish blood.
Okay. So I was okay with him, but like Martin Scorsese, just getting nominated for that white monster movie that was garbage.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Who I think is nuts.
He is nuts. And I saw the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I did.
It was a good movie. I don't think it was like Oscar worthy. Brad Pitt was good in it. I mean, I think his Oscar was valid, but as far as the movie, that was like an altered history movie, kind of like Inglourious Bastards. It was wacko nuts until the end.
Yeah.
It's just there were no women, and I mean, I don't count the best actress, best supporting actress, because of course they're going to be women. But they were white women. What happened to the girl who played Harriet?
Yeah,
she was nominated for best. And so I just don't know why these movies are getting nominated. A movie on Judy Garland. I mean, maybe it's a generational thing, but who cares? A movie on Marriage Story, marriage breaking up. Sorry, I've been through a broken up marriage. Nobody wants to watch that. Toy Story 4. I mean, there's so many.
Toy Story 4 was terrible. I love Toy Story.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy Toy Story 4.
Well, that won Best Animation.
Yeah.
And don't tell me that was the best animated one out there.
It didn't win, like, any other award.
The only one that I was happy for was the Best Composer for Joker was an Icelandic woman, the Hildur Guðnadóttir. And I lived in Iceland for a year, and so it's really neat to see a Icelandic woman winning anything. And so that was neat. But yeah, I don't get why we have the Joker. I mean, how many times can we tell the story of Batman and Joker? I'm sorry, Joaquin Phoenix.
There's a new Batman movie coming out.
Yeah, with Robert Pattinson. And I just give it up. I'm tired of these reboots. Original? I want an original. 1917, that was a really good movie.
I haven't seen it.
That's really, I mean, it's really good, and it deserved the Oscars it's won because this, like, cinematographer, the sound was amazing.
Yeah.
Why that didn't win for best? I mean, I didn't see Parasite. I almost said Poltergeist, but Parasite. But I've heard that's really good, and I was glad that it was a Korean, and that's a big deal. But it's weird that somebody from Korea won all these Oscars when we didn't have any people of color really win anything. The only person of color that was the animated short Hair Love. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's like, I mean, it's 5 minutes. You should watch it. It's just
based on a picture book.
It's based off, the picture book is based off this guy's, the basketball player's life. And it's just so good, and it's so heartwarming, touching. I wanted to cry. And I didn't cry in The Lovely War.
Yeah.
But this
because we're sociopaths who don't cry.
Yeah. No, seriously. But it's just like a 5-6 minute animated short, and I would recommend it. Okay. It's just really sweet. And so that one, and I was so happy. And the people who wrote and directed Hair Love also invited that young man from Texas who has to cut his dreadlocks to graduate.
That's just stupid.
They started that rule of you can't have your hair a certain, like, below your shoulders just in, like, December. Like, just for him. He's the only one that has that. And it doesn't talk about how girls, like girls' hair, long. That doesn't...
That's weird.
Yeah.
There's a larger issue there.
It's a very big issue. But that's for another time. So... That's my rant. Oscars, so white, Oscars, no women, and get it straight. Liberal Hollywood. Not so liberal anymore.
I didn't really even see any of the movies.
No, I only saw the Once Upon a Time and the 1917. Anything else, I'm just...
Watch Little Women. It's good.
And I'll watch Parasite, because you can get it off of Amazon. I'll eventually do that. I'm done with the Oscars.
Anything positive we want to end on?
No. The weather is terrible. It's rainy.
Yeah.
At least it's not like snowy. Like it's.
I know, but it's weird because
know.
it was like
We
0 degrees a few days ago.
so quickly.
Yeah. It was like -4 a
Yeah.
few days ago, and now
it's like 45.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and raining. So whatever.
Yeah. So, what do you hear about the coronavirus?
On that note,
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. If you made it this far,
Yeah,
we appreciate
you. So hopefully, episode number 3 will be just as good.
it.
Yeah,
or better,
or better. We'll always be better.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our random thoughts and musings. Join us next time for more unpredictable conversations.
Thanks to all our supporters. Music credit, Fuzzball Parade, Kevin MacLeod, Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/4.0/.